everyone, I thought I'd do a little small video about play. We're all in the same boat, most of us, that we're at home, we're with our kids, we're with our dogs. So it's a good idea to keep everybody kind of stimulated. Dogs will only play when they feel safe and secure, and there are a lot of dogs in the world that sadly don't know how to play. It's very important to dogs that they are able to play, that they do learn how to play, and if they don't, then we can teach them, but we need to do this safely. And the first and most important thing is that you need to tell your dog that we are about to play. If you go to something like bingo and the caller didn't say, eyes down, we wouldn't know the game was starting. So it's the same for our dogs. We need to say to them, are you ready? And we need to be animated and, come across as quite jovial. Nobody wants to play with, are you ready? Are you ready? We need to keep it fun. We need to remember our dogs are very much like toddlers. So while we'll start the game with a cue, and that's the cue we use at daycare, are you ready? We need to finish the game as well. We need to tell them, all done. And we like to show the dogs our hand to show that there is no toy, there's no treat there, there's no continuity. Our dogs can take approximately 10 to 15 minutes to come down from a play session to bring their arousal down. And you need to think about what kind of games you've been playing with them. We don't recommend that you have a dog where dad plays really rough, and I'm just using dad as a stereotypical example there, but dad's going to play really rough, he's going to play the tug games, but the dog's expected to know to not play like that with mum or with children. So you have to be mindful of what you're teaching your dog, because your dog is always learning. So when you're playing with your dog, it's extremely important. The whole focus is on that session with your dog. Whether it's just going to be 5 or 10 minutes, your dog will love playing with you. Will have lots of feel-good hormones being released around their brain and their body. So it's important that we give them our full attention. So we shouldn't be watching the telly. We shouldn't be answering our mobile phones or texting or any kind of distractions. The whole focus is on the dog for that short period of time. I personally feel that we ask so much of our dogs and that they fit into our house, our lives, that they don't ask so much of us. So, we can easily give them 5 or 10 minutes a day, especially during this isolation period. So please do play with your dogs. Bear in mind what breed you are playing with. All dogs will play differently. You can give 3 dogs the same type of toy and they'll all play completely differently. You think about your terriers, so they were ratters. So when they get their toy, which will become their prey, they will grab it, they will shake it, they will, kill it. That's what they're going to go in for. Similarly, your retrievers, your Labradors, they were bred to carry. So certain dogs won't want to give their toy up, and that's fine. Your dog might parade around the room. Male dogs are particularly prone to this, so you want to just fuss over them. What have you got? Good boy, good girl. And you'll see the tail going, that little bit more furiously, because they're showing off to you. Look at what I've got. The object of the game is never to overpower your dog. They have one mouth, we have 2 hands, so we always recommend you play with your dog one-handed. If it's easier, you can have one hand behind your back. Otherwise, they're at a disadvantage, and we're handicapping them straight away. You need to watch your arousal level. We will see dogs starting to get a little bit hyper. If they start squealing and getting a bit high-pitched, it's gone too far. You need to bring the arousal level down. So you would just take it down a notch or 2. Please, watch for that. Collies, okay, they have a bite inhibition when they're playing, because it's no use to a farmer if they are biting sheep and puncturing and making wounds, so be aware of that with collies. And also, when you're throwing balls for collies, because they have this control of movement, please remember that sheep don't fly, so actually can cause your dog a lot of stress to be chasing balls all the time. They control the movement, they control the sheep. If you're throwing balls sky high, it sends the dog a little bit haywire, because sheep don't fly. You're causing them to lose their sheep, so you roll the balls along the ground. There's a lot of different toys, and I'll do that in another video, that you can use that would be soft. Lattice balls, sheep balls. IKEA are brilliant for selling the sheep balls. These are things that we can stand on, we can control movement, but please remember, sheep don't fly, so not to be throwing things around. Dogs can distinguish names, so you can name your dog's toys, go and get Mr. Rabbit or Pinky, so on and so forth. Say enough the name with the toy, the dogs will learn very quickly. Also, if you have a multi-dog household, you want to be washing the toys regularly, because kennel cough and such like can be passed in between toys, so you need to make sure that they're washed. Dogs, as I've said, they do need time to calm down. It can take 10 or 15 minutes for dogs for their arousal to come down. So when you're finishing your play, just as you know, you have to start the play and give the dog a cue, you have to give them an end cue. All done. And if the dogs aren't picking up on your cues of all done, showing the hand that you have no toy, you have no food, you can just walk off. The object of the game is never for us to come away with the toy. The old dominance theory of, you know, you must win the game, it's all scientifically disproven. That's not how the dog's brains operate. They don't think, I've won that toy, I'm above them in the pack. That's not what it's all about. You know, it's a theory that's outdated, it's not modern, so we don't live by that, okay? It's not how we play. If the dog still has the toy, the game's over, you walk off, the toy is dead, the game is done. If you're going to play rough with your dog, please remember your dog then has to distinguish between different members of the household. So if dad's playing rough, you're asking the dog to be mindful not to play rough with the children, not to play rough with mum. If you have the dog and you've got the dog wired to the moon because you played so rough with them, it's going to take longer for the dog to come down. If you're playing biting games with the dog, you want to always maintain a safe distance. And always remember, if the dog has a grip of something and you're tug, the dog will a lot of the time do something, it'll go in for what's called a rebite. So it'll let go momentarily to get a better grip, and that's usually further up the toy, and this is where accidents can happen. You can't shout at the dog for that. That's in their DNA, they're hardwired to do that. So their brains don't switch off and think, oh, I shouldn't, go for the rebite because I might catch dad's hand or mum's hand. So just remember to keep the games at a play level that you're comfortable with. Bear in mind, you have to almost do a wee risk assessment when you're playing with your dogs, especially the bigger dogs. Laminate flooring, it is dangerous for dogs. If you can, play with them on a carpeted area or take them outside onto the grass or even the concrete. If you've got a dog skiting and sliding all around a laminate floor, especially the bigger dogs, you can and may very well do some joint damage, so please be aware of that. One thing that you are able to do, and a lot of people will not want to do this, but it is a tip, you can put Coca-Cola on the pads of your dog's paws because it gives them a little bit of stick if you want to play with them in the house using laminate. Lots of variations of games that you can play. Do a little bit of research on your dog. What was your dog bred for? What kind of thing do they like to do? What are they going to find most enjoyable? You can give 3 dogs the same toy and you can guarantee every dog will play with that toy differently. So you'll get to learn about your own dog. You can have games for children to play with dogs, specifically just adults. You've just got to remember that dogs are hardwired to play. They will only play if they feel safe and secure, and it's so important that dogs are able to play. A lot of dogs don't know how to play. They haven't had that socialization from when they were young, and it's a skill. We have to become skilled at playing, and dogs will become skilled at playing. So bear that in mind and encourage your dog to play as much as possible. If your dog doesn't want to play, there may be an issue there, so please just get in touch and maybe perhaps that's something we can help you with. I will video myself playing in the house with Millie and let you see certain things that we can do. You don't need lots of expensive equipment. You can use a lot of household items. So I'll do some videos and post them later on. But again, if you have any questions, any suggestions, please get in touch, and I hope that you are all staying safe.